This thing on? Cool.
Hey, hey, you always won a national championship.
So many layers to this, right? So I'm gonna start with my journalist hat.
And I can tell you this, man. Just hearing football was back exciting. But just to show that all these teams are on an even playing field.
It's football season, man. And we back in this thing. You feel me? Hold up. Before you get to watching this video, let me talk to you for a second. Hit that bell down below and subscribe to the Fitz Take podcast YouTube channel so you'll know when every episode is dropping or if something has been posted on this page. Also, be sure to follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. Now back to the episode. What's good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into yet another episode of the Fitz Take podcast. I'm your guy, Jamarcus Fitzpatrick, but you can always call me Fitz because we like family on this end. Alongside my partner in crime, Elijah Nixon, man, it's time for another great show. Elijah, we've got so much stuff to talk about, man. It was an extremely busy weekend because it's football season, man, and we back in this thing. You feel me?
Bro, I could not wait for this one, man. I actually sent my 2-week notice to my fiance. I told her yesterday, straight up, hey, look, football season's coming back. We had a great summer. Hope we could do a good summer again next year. But we got 4 months of football where I can put all my emotions into these games and get mad, get happy, whatever the emotions I get for the outcome. That's what I want. I could not wait for this season to come back.
2 weeks notice is absolutely insane. But no, you're right, especially for us, bro. Like working in the sports world, like for people that don't understand the stuff that we do, like your weeks are kind of like, you're light on Mondays, you're prepping for Tuesdays, Wednesday you kind of got a little downtime, and then Thursdays is full steam ahead. You start with a little high school football, Fridays more high school football, Saturday college, and then Sunday is the pros, man. Like it's nonstop, and it's for what 12 to 15 weeks straight, all the way through December,
Yes.
early January. Super Bowl takes you all the way to February, depending on what team you're covering. Like it's a nonstop grind, man, and it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun work. So, without a further ado, we are going to go into take number one, and it's our first play. What we got, E?
First play is UL is back talking about football. University of Louisiana Ragin Cajuns will be hitting the field this Saturday. They'll be playing against Grambling State to open up the season. Now, UL has been up and down, really just getting over the 500 mark for the past couple of years. But right now they feel like they can actually take over and possibly win the Sun Belt. Fitz, how are you feeling about this team coming into week one of the Cajun schedule?
So for those out there that don't know, I know you believe that as media, we're seeing everything about this team. So visually, what we have in terms of access is we're able to see them during individual periods. That's when they're blocking up against each other, scheming up. But we're not seeing a lot of live action where they're going good on good, ones on ones, twos on twos, and things like that. So in terms of like physically what I've seen of the team, we don't have a perception yet. When we see them against Grambling, that will be our first time really seeing them against some live action. In terms of what we've heard during talking season here in the preseason, conference media days, and also on report days, is that these guys have a ton of confidence. They believe that this is a championship caliber team. And I truly believe that if the pieces come together, if everyone plays their role, if everyone plays assignment football, if people can stay healthy and all of those things, I do believe that this can be a championship caliber team. But it's always those things that get thrown in there that throw a season off. I mean, you look at last year, Ben was your guy. He gets hurt. Zion comes in. He starts doing amazing. He gets hurt. Like it was just so many things that derailed that season on top of, guys, missing in certain assignments or plays not being made, missed opportunities to score, all of those things like that. So on paper, coming into this year, I think that this team could really, really do something special. We'll be, looking to see what the season looks like. As far as this game coming up, I mean, the only thing we're going to be trying to see is who going to be QB1. Elijah, who do you think has won that quarterback battle between Chandler Fields and Ben Warridge?
It's tough. We all know that Ben started the season very, very well last year. And then, Zion took over before. Well, Ben got hurt. Zion took over. Zion got hurt. And Chandler did his due diligence of playing well. So I think that, we just keep the train rolling. I think Chandler would be the guy under center because he did play well in those ball games to finish out the season. No slight to Ben. I think Ben could still go under center, give you the playmakings downfield, medium and short throws, and he also can use his legs to get a couple yards as well. But with Chandler coming back, I think that he's going to get his fair shake with that Cajun offense. I know from my understanding, um, Desimo named Chandler Fields the starter a few years ago. So I think he will go back to that term, get him back under the center, um, you know, and I think the offense will roll with him. Again, it's not a win lose thing because even if Chandler doesn't play well, knock on wood, he still has Ben who can play well and come into the role and throw the football. But I think it will be Chandler coming in to Saturday against Grambling
And
State.
to that very
What
point,
about you?
that's why I believe that this is going to be a two quarterback type of system. 2 years ago when Chandler was, named the starter or he was given the nod to begin with, the way that they did is that Chandler would go 2 series, Ben would go one. I think we might be seeing something very similar to that just because and at the podium, Dez did say that one guy had a, better fall camp than the other one. But I think that uh, Ben has a lot to prove coming in, hurting himself once again, having another injury. So he has a chip on his shoulder right now. So I think he's going to be playing very hungry. But Chandler also has a chip on his shoulder. So it's like both of these guys are coming in and, they're feeling like this should be my opportunity. This should be my, chance to shine. I think that both of these guys are going to have opportunities to play quite a bit. Obviously, against a team like Grambling, quote unquote, a less caliber team, you're expecting more guys to get opportunities to, play here and there throughout the game. So game one, I don't think it will be a true testament of what we'll see throughout the season of a true starter because I think both guys will play because of the opponent. But with all of that, I think as the season continues to progress, I think there will be spurts where if Ben is the starter, I think Chandler will have moments to be able to get in and vice versa. So it'll be interesting to see, man. Coach Desimo, he told us that it ain't none of our business of who the starter is. He said this is my decision and my decision only. I respect what you're saying, my guy. To see how you feeling, but we want to know, man. Because we gotta
Yeah,
we
man.
gotta
I mean,
inform the
it's hard.
masses. We gotta let the public know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But I feel you, Coach. I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah, and I feel you though. I see what you're saying with the two quarterback system. It's just a question to you. Like, do you feel like that knocks off the rhythm? I mean, we've seen an NFL team do that before with the Jets years ago. I mean, and we've seen it done with the Broncos years ago as well. But do you feel like that knocks off the rhythm, man?
I think a lot of times it can because, just speaking with players, not just on the Cajuns teams, but like other college players, football players, and things like that. It's as simple as, for a center, the quarterback might want the ball snapped closer to his right hand or closer to his left hand or wants it straight down the middle. Or, for a receiver, he might throw his spiral a little bit quicker or he might throw a pass a little bit harder on this out route. And so if you're a receiver and you're running an out, if it's one quarterback that's in there and you turn and it's coming in a little bit hotter at you, it's because you feeling like, oh, well, he throws his out routes a little bit softer, or maybe this comeback looks a little bit different. And all those things like that. I think quarterback is one of those positions that makes it really, really hard to rotate. I think you can do it somewhat on the offensive line. I think also that's a position that gels as one. But I think positions like running back, receiver, and stuff like that, those are interchangeable just because you always need things to change the pace to keep defenses and offenses off balance when you're changing skill positions like that. But I do think that at times it can throw people off. But obviously, whoever is lined up at quarterback, I know those receivers, that offensive line, I know those guys are truly confident in whoever it is that's going to be under center for them. So it'll be interesting to see, man. Obviously, let's talk about the fact that they're gonna more than likely win that game. What do you believe that score is gonna look like when the Cajuns hit all zeros on the scoreboard at the end of Saturday night?
I think it'll be a 17 to 20 point win for the Cajuns because I think this team is fairly talented across the board. I think they have a lot of guys that can fill in the depth of this roster. For the receivers, they got some depth. The running back has depth. The offensive line has continuity. The defensive line got continuity. The secondary, like these guys all know each other. They play well. I mean, they played with each other. We'll see if they play well together week one. But the thing is, these guys know each other, know the tendencies. They figured out the scheme with the new defensive coordinator. Offensive coordinator is the same. So again, I just think that the chemistry will be something that will show week one. Now, again, like we said, they just got to continue on from there. And whether if it's a two quarterback system or one quarterback system, I think whatever happens, I think we'll see what goes on from there. But I think week one, we'll see the chemistry. I know the energy will be there. So I think that's what happened with week one. Now, for you, man, I don't know if you're a gambling man. Are you going to take that plus 17 that I put out?
I,
Oh, yeah, right.
Hey man, like I understand how the betting lines and all this stuff goes. I haven't really dabbled into it all of that much. Maybe I'll give it a try this season. But if I had to guess, what the line will be, I'm gonna say it'll be Cajuns 30. I'm gonna say they're a 30-point favorite in this one for sure. If I personally,
30?
I think that the final score will be something like 38-3 or something like that. If the defense comes out playing with their hair on fire, who knows? It could be a shutout. We'll see. But I think the Cajuns offense is going to come out firing on all cylinders. Last year when they played NSU, I think the score was 24-10, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. I have to go back to look to fact check myself, but they came out first drive. Draylen Washington breaks off a 70+ yard touchdown, and we rolling. You know what I'm saying? So these guys are gonna play with their hair on fire. They're gonna play confident. They're gonna believe in their abilities of what they can do, and they're gonna be able to kick off the season strong for sure. And speaking of other teams that are going to be starting their college football season, LSU will also be starting the season. They will kick things off on Sunday when they will be out in Vegas trying to roll the dice and beat a USC team. I think that is slated to be a top 25 matchup. Elijah, what is your early thoughts on that? I know we have another show that we're going to do later this week, ladies and gentlemen, so be on the lookout for that. But what are your early thoughts of what this game could do, setting the tone for LSU?
It set the tone perfectly for LSU because they're top 15 team in the nation. I think 13 to be precise. They're going against another top 25 team against USC, and again, Brian Kelly has to show improve with this roster again. I know last year, again, this is post Jaden Daniel, Malik Neighbors era, so you got to show improve again. I know Garrett Nussmeier, they was talking about him a little bit with Nick Saban saying that he expects him to be great this year. And then with receiver wise, you could shake a tree in Louisiana and you still get a good guy falling out. I seen him say that, but that's true. With Kyron Lacey out there this year, former UL wide receiver, he's out there with LSU. So I think that if they pull out this win and they do it in a way where it can turn heads and say LSU can be in that college playoff at the end of the year, I think that will just set the tone for what they can be and what the main goal is when it comes to January of next year. Now, for you,
Yeah.
Fitz, I got to know this. I just talked about Garrett last year, a couple minutes ago. We talked about two quarterback system with UL. Expectations for Garrett, what are they? Because some of them is unreasonable. Coming off of Joe Burrow, coming off of Jaden Daniels. What is your expectations for Garrett as he enters Week 1 against
I
USC?
think he's just got to get the ball out there to his playmakers. Give them the ball, allow them to go out and make plays in space. Like you said, you got a Kyron Lacey, you have a Chris Hilton, Xavier Thomas that they've brought in. They also have Shelton Sampson that's been waiting there in the wings that has the potential to come out and play. You still have a Aaron Anderson, a former Edna Carr star that's on your roster as well. So you have weapons to be able to work with. It's going to simply be how can I get them the ball? Is it a bubble screen? Is it an RPO? Is it a slant route? Is it a goal? Like whatever it is that he needs to do, because he has a gunslinger's mentality. He's going to want to throw the football. In the SEC, you do have to establish the run, but I know Garrett is going to want to sling that thing, right? So he's just going to have to be confident in the throws that he makes, protect the football, making sure that he's not turning the football over and putting your defense in, troubling situations or putting them in situations where they could possibly give up points and create another narrative of here we go again with the defense. As long as he can put the ball in his playmakers' hands, I truly believe that Garrett Nussmeier will have a great season. I don't know about Heisman Trophy candidate just yet. I'm not ready to hop on that Nuss bus just yet, but I do believe that Garrett is going to do extremely well for LSU this season. That's for sure.
Now we're just gonna scratch the surface, like Fitz said earlier. We'll have another take with these guys on Wednesday with LSU and UL.
And we're going to stay talking about football, wrapping things up with the NFL. They're in the preseason. The New Orleans Saints, they fall in their last preseason game to the Tennessee Titans 30-27. However, a bright spot for the Saints in that game just so happens to be a local product. In running back Jacob Kibodi coming out and really putting teams on notice, not just the Saints, but other teams that are out there. Like, I truly believe with the performance Jacob Kibodi had on Sunday that he has caught somebody's eye. 12 carries, 59 yards, 2 touchdowns. Running back Jacob Kibodi, former Ragin Cajun star, former, he's a Baton Rouge native and things like that. Like, it was just impressive to see the way that he ran the football. Elijah, what did you think of the way that Jacob played in the game?
He played phenomenal. I'm not even gonna lie. He played phenomenal. I saw that it was one run at the end of the third quarter where he juked the guy so bad and he got the first down. It was like, towards the end of the third. I popped up my seat like, who that? Who that? Jacob, that was a nice move from Jacob, but then after that, he had some strong runs. After that, I know they was trying to, play off of him with play actions and getting AJ Perry, Perry wide open down there. At Perry, I'm sorry, but think about this, man. Jacob Kibodi was out there playing, lights out. And for the final preseason game, most guys that really played, they usually got a hand in their playbook. If he did not turn the heads of the Saints to make sure that he could keep his playbook, whether if it's coming out for a practice squad, whether if he just mixed up the regular 53, I hope he turned some heads that was either the Tennessee sideline or the other 30 teams that's out there, because Jacob proved that he is capable of playing in this league. It's just that some guys just need a chance, and I hope Kibodi gets that fair chance of playing in this league and the team give him a chance of getting on a roster and letting him show his talents in that backfield.
Absolutely, man. And I got I got to know Jacob a little bit better. I did a story on him with our TV station last year during football season. After, because originally this guy was a walk on at UL, so like hard work ain't nothing new to him. You feel me? So he walked on the team, and they gave him a full ride scholarship there during that last season that he was there with UL, and just the way that he was able to battle through things. He started off his collegiate career at Texas A&M. He left, went somewhere else. I believe it was Incarnate Word. Then that COVID year happened, so he didn't get to play the season. He gets there to UL, and he starts as a receiver. They move him to running back, like all of these different things that he deals with. And now, he goes undrafted, but he gets signed by his hometown team, a team that he grew up watching, and he gets an opportunity. Like, this is just a guy that is resilient. This is a guy that has worked hard for a chance to be in those type of moments, that type of moment of what he had, and just to see him to get there. After the game, I'm all down Twitter, all on Facebook looking, and the Saints posted a video of him signing autographs and giving footballs to fans and things like that, and just to see a guy like that that's worked so hard to have a moment like that, man, you just gotta love it. So shout out to Jacob. I truly hope that he can make the roster. I think personally that the Saints are going to give him at least a practice squad opportunity. We've seen some crazy stuff on Twitter of people saying that, oh well, we need to just cut Kendre Miller and get rid of all these dudes and let's go with Kibodi. People always got to go the extreme far right or far left of however they feel about something. But I think that he has truly earned an opportunity to be on the Saints roster. So shout outs to Jacob for playing extremely well there. And with that, we are going to make some forward progress. Take number 2. What we got, E?
Take number 2. College football did kick off yesterday, as we did mention. Florida State and Georgia Tech, two teams playing international all the way overseas, but they're given a chance to get some fan base guys out there. But the game ended wild. Georgia Tech comes off with the upset, which I didn't see coming. I don't know if you'd seen it coming, Fitz, but the number 10 Florida State Seminoles fall short against Georgia Tech. And I can tell you this, man, just hearing football
Yeah.
was back excited me. But just to show that all these teams are on an even playing field, I think anybody could beat anybody this year. What is your take on that football game right there, Fitz?
Before I get into the take, man, we got to look at this celebration of how these guys got down after they won that game, bro. Just, just you gotta love seeing guys get their opportunity to go out there and prove like, hey, we good enough. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, 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 yeah,
Hey,
yeah, yeah.
hey, hey! Boys won a national championship, ACC championship. Or
Bro, they
something.
getting down. They getting down. Ooh, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not the Seminole.
Listen, man. I love it. I love an upset. I was sitting there and I was looking at the TV. I was sitting right in front of it. I was like, "Let's go!" You know, and Jasmine, she walking by, she asked me, "Well, who you going for?" I said, "I'm going for for Georgia Tech. I'm always going for an underdog. I love a good underdog story. You feel me? Like they came out and they were more physical. And see, like, bro, I posted a meme early that morning, talking about waking up knowing that college football was on. Bro, I was up at 6:30, eyes flew wide open, wide awake. Turned on college game day. I ran my errands and stuff to make sure I was back in the house, ready to watch the game and all that stuff like that. But I was watching college game day, and they do the interview with Mike Norvell. They do the interview with Georgia Tech's head coach. Forgive me for not remembering his name right offhand, but I know what he looks like and I know what he said on college game day. He was saying, they asked him, Coach, what ultimately do you have to do to win this game? And he said, control the line of scrimmage. And I am here as a former lineman, a former offensive lineman, to tell everybody out there, you can be as cute as you want to be, throwing these little bubble screens and doing the little juke on the outside and getting pretty and all this stuff and with your sleeves and all this stuff. It's about them boys in them trenches. If it's puppies down in there and it's not them big dogs, you're going to lose the game. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Man, it was a play that Georgia Tech's running back Jamal Haynes, I think his name is Jamal Hayes, he ran a zone left play and the line washed everything to the left. And he cut back and got like a 15-yard gain. And it's just like when you're able to do that, now you're forcing that defensive coordinator to get out of his game plan because now he has to say, I got to stop them from running the football. Forget all these other exotic blitzes and stuff that I was going to do and rotating coverages. I got to stop them from running the ball. If I can't do that, nothing else matters. And once you get them outside of your game plan, that reels them all the way in to be able to do what you want to do on offense. Because now you set up your play action game. Now you set up your quick game. You set up screens. You set up RPOs. You put defensive players in a bind because now if I'm running this zone and I see this linebacker's cheating over because he's trying to make this tackle, now I can tell this receiver I can run a zone left with a slant tag on the back end, fake it, and throw it to him, and now he's going down the field for a 60-yard touchdown. So I love that. I love the upset. I love the fact that they did it running the football first because people believe like you got to throw for 600 yards to win a game and all this stuff like that. That might be true, but to truly win a championship, listen to me, hear me good. To truly win a championship, you need two things. You need a consistent run game and you need a defense. If you have those two things, you're unstoppable. My reason in that is because everything sets up off of that. It sets up your quick game. It sets up your play action pass. It sets up your shot plays. It sets up your trick plays. Everything that you do off of the run game sets up everything else. And you combine that, and it also allows you to control the pace of the game. Say you want to go a little bit faster. All right, if I get a 10-yard gain, boom, I run up to the line. I can hurry up and run it again, get another 6, 7-yard gain. Now I got the defense scrambling. Now the defensive coordinator can get the calls in. Guys are out of place. Now I can run a play and get a quick score on them. Being able to do all of those things sets you up, man. And so shout outs to Georgia Tech for being able to get that done, man. What do you think about seeing an upset not only this early, the very first game that we see right after college game day, we roll right into it, and here this game comes on. What did you think about it?
I just think everything is fair game in college football this year. I just think because everybody's on an even playing field. I know we had those areas where Alabama dominated, Georgia dominated. I don't see so much domination from one team this year. The transfer portal played a lot in it, but I also just think that with everything, with Texas joining the SEC, Bama doesn't have a cakewalk in that West. LSU doesn't have a cakewalk in that West. With Big Ten, with Big Ten getting Oregon and USC in there, they're not going to. Michigan and Ohio State's not the only two dominant teams in there anymore. So it's just everybody's on an even playing field. And I was telling my pop this. He was telling me that college football may be a little too amped up. I told him, no, you can't duck smoke this year. If you want to win a championship, you're not ducking no smoke. You cannot say, oh, no, because you got to play them. It's 12 teams in the playoff. Everybody got to see everybody. I just like the way how it looks. You can't duck any smoke. I don't. Oregon and Ohio State got to play this year. They play in the regular season. You're not ducking it. So at the end of the day, I just feel like seeing that early, just telling me that expect a wild and crazy college football season because this is only week 1, man. And hey, look, I expect to see 5 Hail Marys this year going for championships. Now, I may be joking. I'm joking with that. But at the same time, I'm just expecting wild finishes from a lot of teams this year because I just think this can be the most talented and even playing field that we have seen in so long.
No doubt about it, man. We got a slew of college football games starting things off on Thursday night. I'm trying to look and see if there's any games that are of note that are happening on Thursday. Missouri kicks off against Murray State. Kansas, ranked number 22, against Lindenwood. Tulane opens up against Southeastern. That should be an interesting game there. And then you got games going on Friday night. Oklahoma playing. And then, of course, you got Saturday, Clemson and Georgia. That's an 11 a.m. kick. Woo. way to start it off, huh? And then I think College Game Day is going to be in College Station for that week. I think they announced it already, but who is Texas A&M playing? They are playing Notre Dame. That's the night game on ABC. Texas A&M is favored by 3.
I know Florida and Miami kick off week 1 too. That's gonna be a game right there too.
So we got some great games slated out there, man. Just you gotta love it. College football season is here. Football season. So college football, we got jamborees with high school starting up this week as well. So we're going to be trying to roll in all different types of content here on the show for you guys so y'all can get a little taste of everything. Like, we're not just going to be talking about, just the Cajuns, just LSU. Like, we're gonna try to spice it up a little bit, make it like a little gumbo, put a little of this, put a little of that in there, and, make it interesting for you guys, man. But I'm excited that football season is back. So let's move on to take number 3 and let's fly out. We are staying with football, going back into the NFL, talking about Tua Tagovailoa. Boy, I'm sounding like you. Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, talking about his former head coach, Brian Flores, and the relationship that they had. It was a little bit off in some of the communications that they had. He appeared on the Dan Le Batard show. I have his clip, and then I have Brian Flores' response. So let's take a look at it.
Can you explain to us the difference in practical terms between having a coach who did believe in you the way that he did and the difference between that and what was happening with Flores?
Yeah. Well, to put it in simplest terms, if you woke up every morning and I told you you suck at what you did, that you don't belong doing what you do, that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here, that you haven't earned this right, and then you have somebody else come in and tell you, dude, you are the best fit for this. Like, you are accurate, you are the best whatever, you are this, you are that. Like, how would it make you feel listening to one or the other? You see what I'm saying? And then you hear it, regardless of what it is, the good or the bad. And you hear it more and more. You start to actually believe that. I don't care who you are. You could be the president of the United States. You have a terrible person that's telling you things that you don't want to hear or that you probably shouldn't be hearing. You're going to start to believe that about yourself. And so that's sort of like what ended up happening. And it was, I mean, it's basically been, 2 years of training that out of not just me, but, a couple of the guys as well that have been here since my rookie year all the way till now.
We all had the same reaction to that.
So we got that one. Hearing what Tua had to say. So now let's switch over and let's hear from Brian Flores and what he had to say in response to this.
That's why I say you're a great journalist. You got both sides of the
Hey
story.
man, that's what you got to do. You can't just tell. We don't tell one-sided stories. Even though this is a podcast, at the heart of hearts, we are journalists. So we got to show both sides of the story. So Brian Flores was asked about it later that week. Let's hear what he had to say.
Specific to the comments that were made by Tua, I just want to say, look, I'm happy, genuinely happy, genuinely happy for the success that Tua's had, and I really wish him nothing but the best. And I think player relationships are very important to me. I think that's kind of the foundation of coaching. I got into coaching because I was impacted as a young guy by my high school coaches, my college coaches, going all the way to Pop Warner. I got into coaching because I want to make that same kind of impact, positive impact, pour it into young people, help them become, as KO says all the time, the best versions of themselves. And that's really my goal always in coaching. So I wish nothing but the best to Tua. Really, more than anything, I'm just focused on the Vikings, the 2024 Vikings, the players we have. We saw a couple of guys up here, just a couple minutes ago, Metellus and HP. I think, their leadership, their friendship is important to me, and I'm just, I'm excited about this group.
Man. Oh, E, I'm gonna let you go first because I got a lot to say about it. I got a lot to say about this. So, what do you think about this dynamic between Tua and Brian Flores?
I think, honestly, with the whole situation of how it played out, it came to light after, 3 years, 4 years now. Tua has the right to feel exactly what he feels. And I know that's still bothering him by the tone that he was saying it in during the Dan Le Batard show. He was just saying that, look, man, I mean, I just want to be the best that I can be. Brian Flores looked like he's a guy that, he encourages players by, telling them things like that and as such. And for some people, it can motivate them. But for Tua and for some other guys, that doesn't motivate anybody for you to say stuff like that. I know that when I read reports that he wanted Justin Herbert and the owner wanted Tua, and I don't know if he was taking his anger out on him through the owner, but I just know this: for Brian to be a head coach again, and for him to be in that situation at the helm of a football team, he has to be more conscious of the things that he does and he says to his players, because at the end of the day, the quarterback is the face of the team. He is the guy that makes those decisions when you go out there. He's the guy that has a lot on his mind because he's doing not just his job, but kind of making sure everybody else's job. So, Brian, if that allegation is true and the way how you defended yourself sounds like it is true, I think honestly, this would be a time for you to look in the mirror and make sure that you talk to these grown men the way that they should be talked to. And it's not like you're not coaching a Pop Warner middle school team. You are coaching an NFL team. These guys have mortgages, bills, and families to take care of just as much as you do. So again, Brian, I rooted for you, man, during that time process.
We were rooting for you.
Yeah, I rooted for you, man. But I'm not saying you don't deserve a second chance, because I think everybody deserves a second chance. I just really hope that you look in the mirror and you look at yourself and say, you can grow from this. And if you do get a chance to lead another NFL team, I hope that you don't create the same mistakes that you did the first time.
Cool. All right. This thing on? Cool.
It's on, bro. It's on, bro.
This is why not everyone is meant to be a head coach. I'm not saying Brian Flores can't learn from these mistakes, but this is why not everyone can be a head coach. Because heavy is the head that wears the crown. You know, I say this all the time, bro. When you're a leader and you at the top, you got to not only know how to call the shots, you got to not only know how to take all the blame and none of the credit, you got to know how to manage people. You got to know how to read the room. So if you saying this, you suck, or I think I heard Tua say, or somebody might have tweeted, he texted him the night before a game and was like, don't screw this up or something like that. And you see that he is not embracing the way you talking to him, or he's not responding well to it. You got to adapt and change to it, bro. You can't talk to someone like that. You know, I've heard of, players telling coaches, like, coach, as long as you don't cuss at me, if you don't talk to me, we good. That's the relationship you got to have with that man. You got to do that. Some players say, coach me hard. Do whatever you need to get it out of me, right? Pause. Do whatever you need to allow me to be at my highest level of the way that I'm playing, right? That's cool, okay? But you can't do that same thing with the next person. You can't talk to your center the same way that you're talking to your left tackle. You can't talk to your left tackle the same way you're talking to your starting safety. You can't talk to your starting safety the same way you're talking to your middle linebacker. Everybody does not operate the same. Everybody does not have the same type of mindset. I'll tell this story, right? When I was at LC, we're playing, and we were going against Howard Payne. I think it was my junior year, right? So I'm playing left guard. So for those of you that don't know, again, I find myself wearing a lot of LC stuff whenever we're taping these shows. That's cool. But so I'm lined up at left guard, and it was right before the half, and Howard Payne was running this stunt, or well, they were doing something on defense, and it was confusing because in football, everyone has a responsibility. They have to, be in their certain gaps and all this stuff like that to make sure they're at where they're supposed to be. That way, plays don't break off, big plays don't happen, all this stuff like that. Everyone has their own assignment. The play that they were running, not everybody was in the right spot of what they were supposed to be doing, but it was working because it was that messed up. So essentially what they were doing, it was a guy lined up here on my right inside shoulder, okay? And it was a guy that was a safety from a distance, and they were blitzing and coming, or they were coming into the same part or same gap. So this guy was going here, this guy was blitzing from here. So the protection that we're in, my eyes are out here. I'm not looking at this guy, okay? So the first time they do it, we're like in 2-minute drill, couple seconds left in the half. So we just trying to go down the field, see what points we could get. So we slide protecting. So I'm not looking here. And this guy stunts over, and he not even trying to like make a move. He just took his helmet and ran, boom, boom. He knocked me over, right? He does that. And so I'm knocked off balance. And now I'm not looking at this guy. That frees him up, the safety. He sacks the quarterback. Boom. I'm like, dang, bro, what happened? So we trying to figure out what happened, and we talking in the midst of each other. So we line up, try to get another playoff, and they run it again. Boom. Same thing happens. So I'm like, dog, what is happening? So we go into halftime. We making the adjustments. My coach talking to me, we drawing it up on the board, and he was like, oh, you just let him whoop you, right? It's like, coach, calm down for a second. Listen to what I'm telling you. I said, this is what they running. Boom, this is what they doing. And I remember after all that was over, he pulled me off to the side. He was like, hey, I love you. I need you to be able to get this. Once we knew we was on the same page, we knew what we was doing. The very first play that we got out there, they ran that stunt again. I didn't even look at that safety. I grabbed him. Come here. So y'all finna stop doing this. Because now that I've figured out what you're doing, now we're gonna stop you from running this play. My point in that is my position coach knew in that moment, bro, I don't need all that hollering and screaming going on right now. Yeah, I want you to coach me hard. Yeah, I want you to tell me, like, if I'm not playing well, tell me I'm not playing well. But what I really needed in that moment, what we needed, was to figure out how do we stop this so they don't keep running it and we can effectively run our offense and it doesn't mess up what we got going. Once we figured that out, we was good. So to that point, Brian Flores, if you know that your quarterback don't take coaching like that well, don't coach him like that. So now he's no longer a head coach. He's now with the Vikings. He's going to have to learn how to talk to people properly, coach them properly. Again, I'm not saying that he's not a good coach, but I'm speaking to the overall topic in itself. Some people think that a good coach is just schematics, X's and O's, the mindset of a coach. A real good coach is somebody that knows how to find someone and get the best out of whatever ability they have. If I know all you can do is run fast, I'm going to put you in every position on the field to be able to just run fast and go play football. If I know that you're really strong, I'm going to put you in whatever position that you need to be in to where you can just cause havoc and bulldoze people, right? A lot of coaches say, this is my scheme. You need to figure out how to work in it. Well, that don't make sense. If you got a 4-3 defensive end, he's 6'5", 245, and you trying to play him in a 3-4 scheme as a 3-tech or as a nose, it ain't going to work. I don't care how good he is because he's not built for that scheme. It's the same thing. If you're not talking to people correctly and you cussing and fussing, telling him he sucks or whatever it is that you were actually saying to him, if you're saying all of these things and he's not responding in the way that you need and he's not performing better, if it's not ultimately leading to wins and championships, then you're not doing your job correctly as a coach. So, like, we got to do better. And I know there are going to be people that are going to say, well, just don't be soft. Look, man, I get that what they're doing at that level is it's a lot higher stakes. There's more money on the line. That's why people get hired and fired. That's why people get cut. That's why people get traded, because there's more money on the line. There's a lot more things at stake. I understand that. And that's even more reason why, bro, we got to have a good working relationship. I'm a millionaire. You a millionaire. You're not going to talk to me crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then at that, my million's bigger than your million, so you really not going to talk to me crazy if we keeping it a buck. But if we giving each other the same amount of respect, and I build that relationship with you one-on-one, coach and player, and I know that, hey, he can take harder coaching in this situation, then I know how to coach you. Or if it's not necessarily babying him, but it's that, hey, for me to really get out of, I might need to pull him off to the side and just tell him like this. And you need to do that. Those are the signs of not just a good coach, but the great ones. Those are the ones that people, they say they are motivators and all that, those, you know, those different attributes that they got on College Football 25, motivators and, you know, scheme artists and all that stuff like that. You want somebody that can be a little bit of everything at times. Those are some of your great ones. Because, yeah, you might have great schemes and call amazing plays, but if you can't communicate it in a way that people can receive it, I don't care if you draw up a touchdown play every play. It's not going to work because they're not going to receive it in the way that they need to because it's not being communicated the right way. It's not always about what you say, but it's how you say it. So I hope that both guys are able to learn something from that experience. And I hope that other coaches and other players are also watching. And if those issues are happening in the locker rooms, which I'm sure they are, because not everybody is the same. So there is somebody else doing the same things that Brian Flores was doing in another locker room. But they got to learn from that. They got to be able to adapt to that. And if you can't adapt to that, you might need to go ahead and hang up your hat, put up your whistle. So that's my take on that one, bro. Hey.
That boy was preaching, bro. I was about to be like, ding, ding, ding. I was about to go ahead and get on that instrument. That boy was preaching. Pastor Fitzpatrick was on that. He was on the pew, ladies and gentlemen. You should have ended it by calling us up to the front to see if
the doors of the church are open. I do take love offerings. All right. Just give me my money. Oh yeah, man.
Going into the final take. speaking of football, going back to college football, Deion Sanders has banned Sean Keeler, a writer out there in Buffalo, for stuff that he wrote, all negative things about Deion Sanders and that program out there. He banned him from coming out and answering any of his questions. I mean, I never heard of a coach banning a reporter or anybody in media from the presser days and not answering questions. It's kind of changing the game here. Fitz, what is your take? I know this is your famous take. What is your take on Deion banning Sean Keeler from asking questions at the press conferences?
So we got it's an exchange that they had back and forth, a video here.
Coach Sean Keeler, the Denver Post. Happy summer, my man.
What? You don't like us, man. Why do you do this to yourself?
Come on.
But what happened to get you like this?
That's a good question.
No, I'm serious. Because I want to help. No, I'm serious. I want to help. Like, it would be hard for me to really engage in someone I don't like or something I don't like. I'm just asking why. Like, why?
Gotta pay
What
the bills,
did I do?
You didn't do anything.
Whoa. Because it's not normal.
We can talk about that.
Okay.
Can I ask you a football question?
No.
Seriously.
No, we'll talk about that. When we talk about that, I'll talk about that with you.
Coach Sean Keeler, the Denver Post. Happy summer.
Look at, man. So many layers to this, right? So I'm gonna start with my journalist hat first, okay? Because I am a journalist, okay? You gotta be able to answer questions regardless of who it's coming from sometimes, bro. Like, they might not be writing what you like. They might not be saying what you like. They might not be talking on TV about what you like. They might be trying to spin a narrative about your team and all this stuff. But you got to answer those questions. If you call a 2-point conversion play and it doesn't work, they're probably going to ask you about it in the press conference. And just because you don't like that, that's tough. Because, again, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And Deion knows that, right? Because he's prime time. So he's had the heavy crown his whole career. So this ain't nothing new to him. He's used to having to answer the tough questions. This is no different now as the head coach, right? So you got to be able to answer those tough questions. Now, let me take my journalist hat off. On the other side of this is the new age of media. Because according to some of the things that I've been reading, the videos I've been watching and stuff like that, Coach Prime got in his contract that he has to approve who these media members are that are coming and asking him questions. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. For those of us that are, in the TV business or sports reporters, print, all those things like that, Houston, we have a problem. Because now you're going to have some coaches, they're going to start putting that stuff in their contract. And if they don't like you, or if it starts to get personal, you're not going to be able to ask any questions. You're going to have to just sit in there and not say a word. And, obviously this guy, and to give even more context, he's not a traditional, sports reporter or news reporter coming in there. He's a columnist, and he writes opinion-based columns. So the way that he's writing is going to be strong anyway. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. That's why you have freedom of speech. Okay? So what he's doing as his job is what he's doing. But, like I said, sometimes people can hide behind them keyboards. And some of the examples that they had, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. He was, let's see, I know I bookmarked some of it. Golly, boy, I thought I had.
Yeah, he had to be saying some things. If you pissed Deion off, you had to be saying some stuff, about the program, about how he is, about his kids that's on the team. You had to be saying something.
That's why he got beef with CBS now. That's why he got beef. Why is the Denver Post tripping? No, I don't want to continue. They must have embargoed this story. But I think one of the examples that they used, he called him like a false prophet or Something. It was just a bunch of stuff where Deion was like, I don't like that, and because it's in my contract, you, sir, can no longer speak to me. And on the human side of things, I can feel that. Cause how you think you finna write something crazy about me and think you finna come up in here talking about something? What's up, my guy? My guy, brother, please. You better get out of my face before you get swole. What you talking about? Like, we ain't getting down like that. I can understand that. So it's a twofold thing. The journalist side of me feels like, hey, bro, you just gotta take that heat. You gotta answer them questions. You gotta deal with it, or you at least have to make yourself available. That's where we get into the Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here so I won't get fined. He was making himself available, but he wasn't gonna answer no questions, right? So I get that. On the human side, if it was me, hey, bro, if you get to writing too much crazy stuff, you're out of here, buddy. I can't get down with it. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I'm feeling with it, man. It's like half and half. Some people are probably gonna say pick a side and all this stuff. Like, bro, but I'm human. I'm a journalist, but I'm not a journalist first. I'm a man first. And I ain't gonna lie. If you start talking crazy about me, it's only so much. I'm gonna let you say, well, I started talking back. And so Deion is in a position where he don't need to be talking back crazy or nothing like that. So I'm gonna just slide you on out of here, brother. I'm gonna eliminate you from the equation. You feel me? So that's my take.
Yes.
E, what you got?
I agree with you because it's different between a journalist and what he's doing is different. Journalists, like we just talked about earlier, it shows both sides. What we did with Brian and Tua, and then we gave our opinion on it. He's just going off and saying these name calling things, and that's opinionated stuff. Opinionated stuff isn't always right. Now, if he was saying things that was factual about what games they lost last year, things in that nature, that's factual. But saying false prophet and things like that in your columns, that's opinionated, and he has the right to ban them. I just hope that they could come to a conclusion about it. He can go back to being a journalist and treating Deion. If he does feel some type of way about Deion, start your own podcast, buddy. But put it in the paper in a print file. I think you honestly should just keep it factual, so everybody can understand and see what you're putting out there. That's straight facts and nothing that's in your heart. Now he probably have some things against him. He looked like he was in the business for a while, and Deion probably beat his favorite team, the Broncos, many of times. And now that he's out there, he's like, I don't like this guy, so I'm just going to go ahead and just say what I really feel about him. So that's what it probably is personal in that sense of he's probably beating his favorite team. But again, as he's old and he's been in the business for some time, he should actually consider being a journalist and writing things that's factual. That's the only thing I got to say about that, man. And Deion, don't ban me, bro. If I ever
Please.
say anything bad,
we got to talk about that too. Look,
yeah, man,
I gotta look. If something happened with your player and all that, I got to talk about it. This ain't personal. I'm gonna let you know that.
Yes,
I'm not making personal attacks. Like some of the examples he was writing, he was saying stuff like false prophet, deposition Deion, Planet Prime, Bruce Lee of BS, Deion drinking the Deion Kool-Aid, circus. I'm not gonna put nothing like that in none of my pieces. I'm not saying nothing like that in my package. But if your quarterback throws 3 interceptions, gotta talk about it. I can't. I think a lot of times what happens is some people think that media, our job is to be PR. So for just a minute, I'm gonna have to get back in the podium and preach to y'all again and teach y'all also a little bit. So journalists, our job is to present the facts, present the truth, and the only way to do that is to allow both sides to be able to express what is happening. That's why when they have conventions like the DNC and the RNC, that's why you have to show both of them on TV. So you don't look too far right or too far left. Okay? That's a journalist. In PR, public relations, your job is to manage the public image of whoever you're working for. If it's an individual, if it's a school or anything like that, your job is to make this school look as good as possible. And if anything bad starts to come out, it's your job to spin it and make it be like, okay, how can we turn this into a positive? Or how can we change the narrative and put it in a different light? Or how can we have people to stop talking about it and get them to be looking in a different direction? That's PR. So I'm here to tell you, I am a journalist. I'm not PR. Maybe one day, further down the line when my sports career is over, I might do that, and my job would then be to make you look as good as possible. But if your team is not looking good, as a journalist, I have to talk about what things they're not doing well. I can't personally attack you because I have a journalistic duty, and there's some form of integrity that I have to have and a standard that I have to have to do that, right? But if your team is 0-10, I got to talk about them being 0-10. I can't talk about how pretty their uniforms is and how, nice you are in the community. Now, there are also other stories outside of football where we talk about what players are doing in the community and how they're helping people and getting out in the community. We can tell those stories. But when it comes to the X's and O's, the wins and losses, if you throw 3 picks, I got to talk about it. If you throw 3 touchdowns, I got to talk about it. If you miss the game-winning shot, got to talk about it, because that's my job as a journalist. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, the doors of the church are open.
Let's go. Let's go. Call him to the front. Call him to the front.
I take love offerings as well. Thank you so much for coming to the church of Fitz and whatever. I don't know, but I say all that to say I see it both ways for the situation with Coach Prime there with the gentleman there from the Denver Post. So that is pretty much it for this edition, our 4th episode now. Guys, we building momentum now, bro. We starting something, and y'all have an opportunity to continue to hop on that train. So make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Follow me and Elijah on all our social media pages, guys, and we're going to continue to present as much great content as we can and give our opinions, give our takes on what we feel, what we think about some of the hottest stuff going on in the world, man, whether it's in the sports scene or in pop culture. We're going to continue to do that for you. So now, signing out for Elijah Nixon, I'm Jamarcus Fitzpatrick. We will see y'all on Wednesday with another special edition of Fitz Take. Peace. Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Fitz Take podcast. Be sure to like this video and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. And also follow me and Elijah on our social media platforms. They will be linked down in the description. And remember, every episode of the Fitz Take podcast will air right here on the YouTube channel every Monday at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.